The study of philosophy is not that we may know what men have thought, but what the truth of things is. Sorrow can be alleviated by good sleep, a bath, and a glass of wine. Most men seem to live according to sense rather than reason. Wonder is the desire of knowledge. How is it they live in such harmony, the billions of stars, when most men can barely go a minute without declaring war in their minds? Because philosophy arises from awe, a philosopher is bound in his way to be a lover of myths and poetic fables. Poets and philosophers are alike in being big with wonder. I would rather feel compassion than know the meaning of it. I would hope to act with compassion without thinking of personal gain. For those with faith, no evidence is necessary. For those without it, no evidence will suffice. Rarely affirm, seldom deny, and always distinguish. Love follows knowledge. There must be a first mover existing above all, and this we call God. To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. Beware the man of a single book. There is nothing on this earth more to be prized than true friendship. We must love them both, those whose opinions we share and those whose opinions we reject, for both have labored in the search for truth, and both have helped us in finding it. Fear is such a powerful emotion for humans that when we allow it to take us over, it drives compassion right out of our hearts. The soul is like an uninhabited world that comes to life only when God lays his head against us. The things that we love tell us what we are. Grant me, O Lord my God, a mind to know you, a heart to seek you, wisdom to find you, conduct pleasing to you, faithful perseverance in waiting for you, and a hope of finally embracing you. Better to illuminate than merely to shine, to deliver to others contemplated truths than merely to contemplate. The truth of our faith becomes a matter of ridicule among the infidels if any Catholic, not gifted with the necessary scientific learning, presents as dogma what scientific scrutiny shows to be false. Obedience unites us so closely to God that it in a way transforms us into Him, so that we have no other will but His. If obedience is lacking, even prayer cannot be pleasing to God. Friendship is the source of the greatest pleasures, and without friends even the most agreeable pursuits become tedious. We can't have full knowledge all at once. We must start by believing. Then afterwards we may be led on to master the evidence for ourselves. 3 things are necessary for the salvation of man: to know what he ought to believe, to know what he ought to desire, and to know what he ought to do. Faith has to do with things that are not seen, and hope with things that are not in hand. The happy man in this life needs friends. God is never angry for his sake, only for ours. It is necessary for the perfection of human society that there should be men who devote their lives to contemplation. It is not theft, properly speaking, to take secretly and use another's property in a case of extreme need, because that which he takes for the support of his life becomes his own property by reason of that need. A song is the exaltation of the mind dwelling on eternal things, bursting forth in the voice. Man has free choice, or otherwise counsels, exhortations, commands, prohibitions, rewards, and punishments would be in vain. Nothing which implies contradiction falls under the omnipotence of God. While injustice is the worst of sins, despair is the most dangerous, because when you are in despair you care neither about yourself nor about others. Man should not consider his material possessions as his own, but as common to all, so as to share them without hesitation when others are in need. The existence of a prime mover, nothing can move itself. There must be a first mover. The first mover is called God. The human mind may perceive truth only through thinking, as is clear from Augustine. I receive thee, ransom of my soul. For love of thee have I studied, and kept vigil, toiled, preached, and taught. Mercy without justice is the mother of dissolution. Justice without mercy is cruelty. I answer that, as Augustine says, de moribus eccl. Vi. The soul needs to follow something in order to give birth to virtue. This something is God. If we follow him, we shall live aright. If you are looking for the way by which you should go, take Christ, because he himself is the way. To make peace either in oneself or among others shows a man to be a follower of God. That the saints may enjoy their beatitude in the grace of God more abundantly, they are permitted to see the punishment of the damned in hell. It is better to illuminate than merely to shine. Meus est illuminare quam lucer solum. There would not be a perfect likeness of God in the universe if all things were of one grade of being. The blessed in the kingdom of heaven will see the punishments of the damned, in order that their bliss be more delightful for them. By nature, all men are equal in liberty, but not in other endowments. Thus, the sun, which possesses light perfectly, can shine by itself, whereas the moon, which has the nature of light imperfectly, sheds only a borrowed light. Our manner of knowing is so weak that no philosopher could perfectly investigate the nature of even one little fly. The stone is one, the medicine is one, to which we add nothing, only in the preparation removing superfluities. In the old law, God was praised both with musical instruments and human voices. But the church does not use musical instruments to praise God, lest she should seem to Judaize. Justice without mercy is cruelty. Mercy without justice is dissolution. Knowledge depends on the mode of the knower, for what is known is in the knower according to the measure of his mode. Jerome says, Ep ad nepat, lie, shun, as you would the play, a cleric who from being poor has become wealthy, or who from being a nobody has become a celebrity. Friendship makes you feel as one with your friend. Temperance is simply a disposition of the mind which set bounds to the passions. The truth can be perceived only through thinking, as is proven by Augustine. Nothing can be known, save what is true. Honor is due to God and to persons of great excellence as a sign of attestation of excellence already existing, not that honor makes them excellent. It has become the fashion to talk about mysticism, even to pose as mystics, and need it be said? Those who talk the most on such subjects are those who know the least. The slenderest knowledge that may be obtained of the highest things is more desirable than the most certain knowledge obtained of lesser things. Reason in man is rather like God in the world. But a dauntless faith believes. Pipes are not to be used for teaching, nor any artificial instruments, as the harp or the like, but whatsoever will make the hearers good men. Now in matters of action the reason directs all things in view of the end. Further, nothing except sin is contrary to an act of virtue, but war is contrary to peace. Therefore war is always a sin.